Alright, you guys, so in this lesson we are going to continue talking about different transformations of sine and cosine. This lesson specifically focuses on horizontal shifts of these functions. So we're just going to really quickly go over the warm-up. The warm-up is asking us to graph sine theta and sine 2 theta on the axis below. So we're going to do two graphs. I guess I'll color code them. I'll do sine theta in green. And let's do sine 2 theta in yellow. Alright, so we know that sine goes from -1 to +1. So I'm just going to label my axes like that. And we know that it starts at the midline. It crosses through the center and ends at the midline. Alright? And it has to touch its maximum and it has to also reach its minimum. So our sine theta looks like that. It only has one cycle between 0 and 2 pi. So last lesson we talked about frequency. So this graph actually has a different frequency, and the frequency is 2 in this case. So that means what we're going to do is have two of these cycles within 2 pi. So I'm actually going to split this in half. All right. And then I'm going to do one cycle in the first half and another in the second half. So we know it hits this midline, hits the midline, and hits the midline at the end. It has to reach its maximum. And it also has to reach its minimum. All right, so that will be our first cycle. And now we're going to do that again for the second cycle. So this is one cycle of sine. It has to hit its max, reach its min, and we can draw our curve. Alright, so you see the difference between the green and the yellow. We see two cycles of sine within 0 to 2 pi, and for the green we see just one. So they both have an amplitude of 1. So we can say 1 and 1. Alright, the frequency is what's different. So this has a frequency of 1, and the other graph has a frequency of 2. And the period for the green graph is actually 2 pi. So that has a period of 2 pi. And for the yellow graph, that actually has a period of just 1 pi, because it ends here at the center. So now we're just going to jump into the mini lesson, and these talks about horizontal phase shifts of sine. So I'm just going to use sine as an example here. So if you have something inside the parentheses, that is actually going to shift it left or right. So when it's a plus, this actually moves it to the left. And when it's a minus, this moves it to the right, however many units. So we can say n units. All right, let's also add that here, n units. Cool. All right, so we're just going to take this original sine graph. So our axis is just going to be 1, 2, -1. All right, so this is going to be sine theta just by itself. And let's shift this. Let's say we're going to shift it 1 unit to the left. So if we're just doing 1 unit, we have to think about, well, how far is just 1 unit? Now you can do that by dividing the pi over 2 by 3, and you end up with, this will be pi over 6. So if that's pi over 6, that's just 1 unit. So if I'm going to shift this to the left, our equation will be sine theta minus pi, plus pi over 6. Okay? So that's going to be our blue function. We're going to shift this to the left. So now this point will actually be off the axis. It'll be like over here somewhere. This one will shift to the left one. This will also shift to the left one. This will shift to the left one. And this will shift to the left one. And your sine function is going to look slightly different. It all shifted to the left, just one. All right, so we're going to do the same exact thing for the other function, and it's just going to shift to the right. So that equation will be sine theta minus the pi over 6. Minus the pi over 6. So we're going to shift everything to the right. That one will be here. This one will shift to the right one. This will shift to the right one. And lastly, this one will actually be off the graph, but I'm just going to draw it anyway so you guys can see. Alright, so this now shift the graph to the, oh sorry, I didn't do this one. Oops, this will shift the graph to the right. And it stops because that one's off.